Well, hello, people. Once again, we're venturing into the pages of the Purple Passion. And today, I'll be telling you the story of Toy Boy. Straight up, y'all, Darnell Yates was a first class nerd. I mean, four eyes, funny colored clothes, the whole nine. Yeah, I mean. What will really make you chuckle, pluck it, what will really make you laugh until utter decapitation is the fact that the nerdy ninja had the nerve to be confident and conceited to the nth degree and on the real. He actually told some of the hottest girls in his school to pluck off and kiss his ass when they turned him down after asking them out. They feigned hurt feelings in his face and then laughed like hell behind his back. Samantha Iverson and Cleo Davenport, to be particular, put him on blast on social media, which made him fume and get the message finally that, hey, bro, you are definitely not what's happening. Anyway, here's a story of a guy who started thinking when he began to realize his jit wasn't exactly smelling like a fresh bed of roses. In fact, it was humming, stinking like elephants taking a squat at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. You know what I mean? Yes, Lord. Woo! Anyway, though Darnell wasn't much to look at, his brain was indeed one of a kind. To say he was smart wasn't a whip. To say he was smart as a whip was a painful cliche and understatement. Because boyfriend was like Einstein, Washington Carver, and Banneker rolled into one. Indeed, he had a level of genius people would murder for and be elated afterward. Since the ladies and money wouldn't come to him naturally, he would force both things he wanted to come to him, and he would do it in a way quite unexpected, for he was seen as, quote, green as they come, unquote, and would bypass the radar of suspicion by miles and with flying colors. We all know about promethazine, that purple stuff, that dirty Sprite, right? Well, what if I told you that Darnell, aka First Class Nerd, invented something called Sherry's Bliss that put promethazine, that dirty Sprite, to rest in file 13? Sherry's Bliss was what Darnell called his euphoric concoction, but once it hit the streets, people started changing the name and shit. They called it Satan's Kiss, Dirt Nap Juice, and Winky Drink. You see, it seemed Darnell's Sherry Bliss could leave you influenced for 3 days. Only in those 3 days, persons would be, or at least could be, depending on how the drug affected them, in a catatonic state. Lots of times, persons would come out of their euphoric, immobile stupor to not knowing where they were or had been, but craving, fiending for the next hit of Sherry's Bliss. See, the reason that Sherry's Bliss put the purple stuff to shame is because of a special ingredient called Boletus potentia, or the mushroom of power. You see, it was a rare mushroom found in the Netherlands, and Darnell worked his genius and learned how to obtain it. He was able to extract dextromethorphan from the cough syrup and replace it successfully with Boletus potentia, making it 5 times more powerful and deadly than promethazine, aka Dirty Sprite. Users loved it, and your boy, who was once the first class nerd, became the number one G, and all eyes were on him. At the beginning of the story, I told you Darnell had a crafty way of selling his product. Well, his mama and family, and what little bit of friends he had, called him Darny or Nelly. He hated that shit. However, unknown to those closest to him in the streets and at school, he was known as Toy Boy. Yeah, that's right. You see, this is where Darnell's mind worked like Carver and Banneker together. Like Carver mastered crabbing things from the pecan, peanut, and sweet potato, Darnell could take things apart, put them back together because of his photographic memory, and he could replicate any object you would want from plastic. Thus, the name Toy Boy. You see, brothers and sisters at Jimmytown University would have all kinds of neat gadgets and keepsakes to put their Sherry Bliss in, and it was all crafted by Darnell Yates, aka Toy Boy. What a way to come up, huh? Who said men shouldn't play with toys? I sure didn't. You see, it sure seemed to behoove one formerly known as the first class nerd. Now, when we would have it all together, Murphy's Law, it shows up in full EFFECT. You see, Darnell Yates, aka Toy Boy, was doing his thing for real. He even managed to get him some ass, finally. However, there was another dude on the scene by the name of Kingston Dexter. Before Toy Boy came on the scene with Sherry's Bliss, he, Kingston Dexter, was the number one drug dealer at Jimmytown University. Even professors were coming to Kingston to get their high. But now that Toy Boy was on the scene, ninjas only wanted his thing, that Sherry's Bliss, and it was cutting deep into Kingston's pockets and plucking up his flow. One afternoon after English 101, Darnell scampered across the campus on his way to lunch and thinking on how hungry he was and how he was going to chow down on his mama's meatloaf when he was stopped by two big buffy black dudes. He was scared as shit. One dude was dressed in all red, the other in all black. The muscle-bound bald dude that looked like he swallowed melons whole for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, who was dressed in all black, spoke first, saying, "Sup, little ninja?" He chuckled and smirked as he saw Darnell tremble just a little. Then he continued, "Listen up. I'm Crash, and my boy right here is Steel. Ease up, little man. We ain't finna do no damage this time. But if you don't ease up on the sales of your jit, we gonna have to come take the king's cut. You heard me?" Darnell nodded fearfully, but put his finger up, saying, who's the king?" At this, Crash and Steel busted out laughing. Steel stepped forward and spoke, placing a thick finger in Darnell's chest, but not enough to hurt him. "The king, my ninja, is Kingston Dexter. And these halls in this campus here at JTU are King Dexter's halls. Don't not get bored or sold on this ground lest King KD say so. You heard?" "I understand," Darnell said. Relenting, Crash and Steel handed Darnell a fat yellow envelope. Crash said, "Compliments of the king, little ninja. Here's 50 bands. Go sell your jit elsewhere. If we got to come back, jit gonna get ugly for real. And quiet that is kept, I like you. Hey, Steel, what you think? He seemed like a cool little ninja, huh?" Steel nodded and showed a toothless grin. Then Steel grabbed Darnell by the collar and lifted him just slightly off the ground to show his strength. He furrowed his brow as he brought Darnell's face to his own, saying, "I would hate to have to pluck you up, little ninja. You heard me?" Darnell, who was visibly shaking now, nodded and said he understood. Crash let Darnell down, smoothed out Darnell's wrinkled collar, patted him firmly on the shoulder, and the two were gone. Darnell's heart was in his throat, and he would do precisely what he was told to do. You see, he had no real clout or backup, thus, he had no choice. Darnell, aka Toy Boy, sent out a mass text that he would be selling his, quote, merchandise on the lower east side of Jimmytown City. He was sure this would be a more inconspicuous spot, and hopefully he wouldn't have much competition or be stepping on anyone's toes. As suspected, the first couple of months were blazing with sales of Sherry's Bliss. With the sales and him working at the car dealership, Toy Boy was clocking them dollars. As was said before, he'd even managed to start getting some ass. Regularly, he was seeing a fine-ass Yamasee Indian chick named Blue Feather. Blue for short, her choice. If his money was right, Blue Feather was his for the night, and fine as she was, Toy Boy always made sure his cash was definitely straight. For about half a year, Toy Boy was raking in bread like fresh from a bakery, you heard? One night he was chilling, holding on to Blue's thick-ass butt cheeks, when two guys dressed in white trench coats seemed to come out of nowhere. It shocked Toy Boy, like, what the pluck? Anyway, the two dudes in whites, that just happened to be twin brothers, rolled up on Toy Boy with this to say, and the elder twin speaking first. "Look here, boss. I don't want no smoke. We got a message for you from Lord Lucifer Banks." Toy Boy was tired of this shit. Upset, he said, "Look here, I don't know no Lucifer, and I ain't really pressed about what the pluck the ninja got to say." Whoa, said the younger twin, stepping forward. At his approach, Toy Boy pulled out his gat, a fierce 44 Magnum. In response, the boys pulled their guns too, Desert Eagles. The elder twin spoke again. Now easy, boss. Like I said, we don't want no smoke. Then disappear, mother suckers, Toy Boy hissed. The two twins spoke not another word, put their pieces away, and left the scene. Little did he know, Toy Boy was getting ready to start a war. You see, when Toy Boy, aka Darnell Yates, took over the lower east side of Jimmytown City, though it wasn't his intention, he was stepping on the toes of Mr. Pimpin, Lord Lucifer Banks. He was the biggest coke and crack dealer in that part of town, and Toy Boy's sales of Sherry's Bliss was cutting into his pockets, just like they'd been cutting into Kingston Dexter's pockets. Well, whereas Kingston Dexter was paying Toy Boy to sell elsewhere other than Jimmytown University campus, Lord Lucifer Banks was going to pay Toy Boy to go back. And if Kingston Dexter had anything to say about it, he would sure have to answer to Lord Lucifer. However, by Toy Boy refusing to even hear what Lord Lucifer was offering, this would make Mr. Pimpin feel some kind of way. You see, because it meant that he would have to leave his cozy cold, his pad, and take to the streets. And Mr. Pimpin, Lord Lucifer Banks, did not like that jit. Unfortunately for him, Toy Boy never broke routine and wasn't hard to find. Lord Lucifer watched him at first. He noticed Toy Boy was messing with this fine-ass broad. Suddenly, he had a plan to bring Toy Boy to him. Lord Lucifer made a phone call. Yo, Izzle, I need you to put in some work for me. As he put Izzle, his number one henchman, down with what duties he wanted him to perform, Lucifer, Mr. Pimpin, that is, was damn near drooling over Blue Feather, who was fast becoming Toy Boy's main piece of ass. Lucifer's plan was to take her for a ransom of sorts. He figured snatching the wench would give him Toy Boy on a platter. Early on a Sunday morn. Yeah, y'all, Blue Feather did her jit, but she was indeed a religious woman. Unfortunately for her, though, this should have been a Sunday. She stayed her ass home. Izzle and his man Schultz speedily pulled the black Escalade with tents onto the sidewalk and cut Blue Feather off as she was strolling on her way to Sunday school and later church service, or so she thought. The two, Izzle and Schultz, quickly jumped from the vehicle and attempted to grab Blue Feather. It wouldn't be easy, though, because homegirl, Blue Feather that is, could indeed throw hands. As Schultz tried to grab her, she three-pieced the ninja. Two solid punches landed and caught Schultz above his brow and in his throat. He stumbled back, coughing uncontrollably. Izzle came forward, but fell to the ground with a splat flat on his back as Blue Feather spun-kicked that ninja in his torso. Though Blue Feather was on a roll, her onslaught was suddenly brought to a halt when Schultz fired the tranquilizer gun. When she fell to the ground, the two, Izzle and Schultz, picked her up, hoisted her into the waiting Escalade, and they were off to Mr. Pimpin, Lucifer Banks. Their mission, their dirty and dastardly deed, complete. As was expected, his capture of Blue Feather quickly got Lucifer Toy Boy's attention. What you want me to do? He asked as Toy Boy watched Blue Feather, who was tied to a chair in some unidentifiable location on the cell phone screen. Lucifer spoke up. Bring your ass, mother sucker, to the address I text you. Your ass don't show, your hoe is no more. Got me? Lucifer didn't wait for Toy Boy, a.k.a. Darnell, to answer the phone screen. The screen went blank. The call ended. Toy Boy knew he had to move. even before he heard the tone of the text notification reach his anticipating ears. After receiving the message, Darnell, aka Toy Boy, was at Lucifer's location in about 15 minutes. The stout, tough looking dude at the door named Bubbles already had been informed of Toy Boy's arrival. He frisked him as was proper protocol, took his piece, and let Toy Boy in the mansion to see none other than Mr. Pimpin, Lucifer Banks. Lucifer, upon seeing Toy Boy, spoke in a calm, hospitable, and welcoming tone. He even ordered Izzle to untie Blue Feather, so the two of them, Lucifer and Toy Boy that is, could talk grown man business. "Listen, Toy Boy, Mr. Yates," Lucifer said. "I really don't want no smoke, man, but you plucking up my bread, my cash flow, my bizakin. You heard? You heard, my ninja? I mean, now my offer was to pay you to go back wearing the pluck you came from, with my protection, of course. You cut me in, and I'll keep that ninja Kingston Dexter off your heels. Do we have a deal?" Regardless of the fact that Darnell, aka Toy Boy, wanted to murk Lucifer right there and then, he realized for Blue Feather's sake, he had to play it cool and go along to get along, for the time being. "It's cool, man," said Toy Boy. "I like the sound of what you're saying. I'll oblige. And by the way, how much?" Before Toy Boy could finish, Lucifer interrupted, saying, 30%, my ninja. I'm not a greedy man, and you will, I guarantee, have all the protection you need. After this, Lucifer chuckled and sparked up a blunt. "Oh, and I like to tap that fine piece of pussy every now and again you got there, boy." Blue Feather tensed up. Toy Boy put his hands out, palms down, as a motion for her to calm down. Lucifer laughed hard now. I'm just, I'm just kidding." Blue Feather was red hot with anger. So was Toy Boy, but he laughed it off. The grin he showed actually was him gritting his teeth. He would kill Mr. So-called Pimpin' Lucifer Banks when he got the chance. Yeah, and he would kill Kingston Dexter too. As a matter of fact, Toy Boy, aka Darnell Yates, would kill anyone who stopped him or his product from selling. He realized he'd started a war, or perhaps one would call it a battle, and this conflict, was one he'd successfully waged against himself. 3 weeks later. Jip was actually running kind of smooth for Toy Boy. Blue Feather made herself woman. I'm sorry. Jip was actually running kind of smooth for Toy Boy. Blue Feather made herself his woman after he rescued her from Lucifer's bullshit ass mansion and whatnot. She had laid the brain and the gushy on Toy Boy good as a show of appreciation, and she furthered her show of appreciation by making herself Toy Boy's main squeeze, to which he had no objections at all. He hated paying Lucifer 30% of his earnings, but as he'd promised Toy Boy, it kept Kingston Dexter off his heels, and anyone else for that matter. But Kingston was mad as jit. He vowed revenge for Lucifer's call. As soon as he could catch Toy Boy or Lucifer slipping, he vowed he would kill them both. It was just a matter of time. Yeah, Darnell Yates had earned himself the name Toy Boy, but he was learning and would continue to learn that when it came to the streets of Jimmytown City, there was definitely no toying around. Now, before we go on with the story, I thought it would be wise and interesting to give a little history on how Jimmytown City got its name. Jimmytown was a billionaire. He was a white billionaire. He bought 100.50 square miles of land that made up his self-named city in 1960. The city today is just 65 years old, making it the youngest municipality in America. Now that we got that out the way, let's get back to the lowdown dirty of this here story of Toy Boy. It was a Tuesday, and it was wet outside and getting wetter the way the rain was coming down over Jimmytown City, and of course, a few other places in Mountain, the state Jimmytown was located in. See, I didn't tell you. Mr. Jimmytown bought land for the city of Jimmytown and its state Mountie, which he named after his dog, a German Shepherd. But that's another story. It's neither here nor there. As the rain poured over Jimmytown City, Lord Lucifer Banks was getting wet down too, as his fine piece of ass, a superfine witch named Lisa, gave him some mind-blowing head. She was red boned with sexy ass fat red lips. Lucifer had lip gloss, red colored, all over his manhood, and he was loving every minute of it as Lisa glurped and slurped and his eyes rolled back in his head. He chuckled just a little, Toy Boy did, as he saw that from Lisa's head game, old Lucifer, aka Mr. Pimpin', couldn't close his mouth. To Toy Boy, the face Lucifer was making looked sort of like the white scary mask on the horror movie Scream. And jit, LOL. Anyway, Toy Boy had cleverly snuck into the mansion and had his gat cocked and ready to murk Lucifer. Just as Lucifer was about to bust off, Toy Boy entered the room, twisted on the silencer, and missed as she shot twice to try to attempt to put Lucifer to rest. Immediately, Lucifer pushed Lisa off him and grabbed his gat from his dip. He fired on Toy Boy, hitting him in the leg and shoulder. Toy Boy ran past Lucifer and crashed through the third-floor window of the mansion. As he hit the ground outside, though he tumbled from the fall and shots, Toy Boy was badly hurt. Still, he managed to scurry away, get to his car, and speed off. The room had been dark, so luckily Toy Boy's face had been obscured in his attempt to dead Lucifer. Still, Lucifer had his suspicions that Toy Boy had been in his place and tried to end his life. With regard to the matter, Lucifer felt that revenge was sweet, but payback was a witch. And with the broom and the cauldron to do it, damn it. Lucifer would give the ninja a chance to fess up upon confronting him. If Toy Boy lied, his ass would die. If he was honest, he would take that fine-ass honey Toy Boy was messing around with. What's her name? Oh, yeah, Blue Feather. Yeah, he would take her from his witch ass and make him watch while he plucked her brains out. Tune in next time as we get into the story of Toy Boy and the pages of the Purple Passion.